Black Maid falls asleep on cold millionaire's bedroom after working 3 jobs, wakes to a sweet breakfast from him. The morning light carved through floor-to-ceiling windows, turning the pristine white bedroom into a spotlight. Janelle Reyes blinked twice, disoriented by the silk sheets pooled around her work uniform. Her cleaning cart stood abandoned by the door, evidence of her exhaustion-induced collapse. So what would you do if someone saw your worth before you believed in it yourself? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. She fell asleep cleaning his penthouse and woke to find the city's most feared billionaire serving her breakfast, with a contract tucked beneath the pancakes that would either save her family or destroy her completely. The morning light carved through floor-to-ceiling windows, turning the pristine white bedroom into a spotlight. Janelle Reyes blinked twice, disoriented by the silk sheets pooled around her work uniform. Her cleaning cart stood abandoned by the door, evidence of her exhaustion-induced collapse. You should eat before it gets cold. The voice made her jolt upright. Damian Cross, Boston's most notorious recluse, stood at the foot of the bed holding a tray. Not his assistant, not his housekeeper. Him, the man himself, whose net worth exceeded the GDP of small countries, had made her breakfast. Mr. Cross, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. You worked 16 hours yesterday. His voice remained neutral, clinical almost. The security logs show you arrived at 11 p.m. This isn't the first time you've fallen asleep on the job. Heat flooded her cheeks. I'll pack my things. I understand if eat first. He placed the tray across her lap. Steam rose from a stack of perfectly golden pancakes beside a glass of orange juice and coffee prepared exactly as she liked it, with 2 sugars and a splash of cream. How did he know how she took her coffee? As she lifted the fork, she noticed the cream-colored envelope beneath the plate, her name written in elegant script across the front. What's this? A job offer. She slid the envelope out, keenly aware of his eyes tracking her movements. Inside was a contract, professionally drawn, bearing the Cross Industries letterhead and a figure that made her breath catch. Triple my current salary? Plus benefits and housing. You'd live here in the guest wing. Janelle looked up, suspicion replacing embarrassment. Men like Damian Cross didn't offer opportunities without expecting something in return. Why me? His expression remained unreadable, but something flickered behind his eyes, a brief shadow of, what? Pain? Memory? You're efficient, thorough, and you don't waste time with unnecessary conversation. She glanced down at the contract again, mind racing through calculations. This money would cover her mother's medical bills, her siblings' school supplies, maybe even community college tuition for her brother. Everything she'd been killing herself to provide. What exactly would I be doing? Managing my household, coordinating my private calendar, essentially becoming my right hand in personal matters. His gaze dropped momentarily to her collarbone, where her uniform had come unbuttoned during sleep. Janelle quickly fastened it, noticing how his jaw tightened before he looked away. I need someone discreet, he added. Have you ever been offered something that seemed too good to be true? That moment when opportunity arrives disguised as risk. Drop a comment if you faced a choice that could change everything overnight. The contract felt heavy in her hands. 3 times her current income. Benefits. A room in a penthouse worth more than she'd earn in several lifetimes. But she'd heard the whispers from other cleaning staff about how Damian Cross had destroyed his own father in a corporate takeover, how he lived like a ghost, appearing only to fire people who displeased him. The press called him the Ice King for a reason. I'll need time to think about it, she said, voice steadier than she felt. Of course. He moved toward the door, then paused. But Janelle, I don't make offers twice. As the door closed behind him, she noticed something else on the tray. Her phone, plugged into a charger she didn't recognize. On the screen, 4 missed calls from Newark General Hospital, where her mother was undergoing treatment. Accepting meant living under his roof, within his walls, close enough to discover what really happened to make Damian Cross lock himself away from the world, and whether the rumors about what he did to his father were true. On her first day living in his penthouse, she discovered two things. The East Wing was permanently locked, and the man who hired her woke up screaming every night at exactly 3:17 a.m. Your quarters. Damien gestured to a hallway that stretched longer than her family's entire apartment. Kitchen, living area, bedroom, office, and private bath. The smart home system responds to your voice commands. Janelle clutched her single suitcase tighter, feeling like an imposter in designer surroundings. The penthouse sprawled across the entire top floor, a kingdom of marble and glass where even whispers seemed to echo. This half is yours, he explained, his tone businesslike. That half is mine. The East Wing remains locked at all times. She followed his pointed finger to a set of double doors at the corridor's end, sealed with an electronic keypad. What's in there? His expression hardened. That wasn't your first question. Sorry, your first question should have been about your duties. Priorities, Janelle. I expect them to be in order. Heat crept up her neck. One day in, and she'd already overstepped. You're right. What are my responsibilities? For the next hour, Damien outlined her role with military precision. Manage his calendar, screen visitors, coordinate with housekeeping and his executive assistant. Prepare his morning coffee precisely at 5:30 a.m. I keep strict routines, he explained, leading her through the main living area. Disruptions are unwelcome. As they turned the corner, Janelle nearly collided with him when he stopped abruptly. Damien had emerged from his private gym, a towel draped around his neck, t-shirt clinging to his still damp chest. Water droplets traced paths down his neck to his collarbone. Time suspended as they stood frozen, inches apart. His eyes, usually cold and distant, widened slightly. She became acutely aware of her own breathing, suddenly shallow. Marcus! Damien recovered first, nodding to his brother. I didn't expect you today. Clearly, Marcus's gaze shifted between them, a smile playing at his lips. Aren't you going to introduce me to your new assistant? Have you ever walked into a situation where tensions hung so thick in the air you could almost touch them? What unsaid things have you felt hovering in a room? Tell me below if you've experienced that electric moment of unspoken connection. That night, sleep eluded her. The guest wing, her wing, was luxurious but sterile. No family photos, no worn furniture with memories embedded in the cushions. Just expensive emptiness. At exactly 3:17 a.m., a scream tore through the penthouse. Janelle bolted upright, heart hammering. Another cry followed, raw and agonized. Without thinking, she grabbed her robe and rushed into the hallway, following the sounds to Damien's bedroom door. She raised her hand to knock, then hesitated. The employee handbook he'd given her specifically mentioned never entering his private quarters without invitation. The scream stopped, replaced by ragged breathing. Nightmares. The untouchable Damien Cross had nightmares bad enough to make a grown man scream. She returned to bed but couldn't sleep, questions multiplying in her mind. What haunted Boston's most powerful man? What secrets hid behind the East Wing's locked doors? And why had he really hired her? The third night, when the screams woke her, something shifted inside her chest. Before logic could stop her, she was standing outside his bedroom door, hand raised a knock, only to find it swinging open, revealing Damien wide awake, eyes haunted. You heard, he said, not a question. His hair stood disheveled, his t-shirt rumpled. Without his tailored suits and perfect composure, he looked almost human. Can I help? She asked quietly. His laugh held no humor. No one can help with this. But something in his expression shifted, vulnerability breaking through the eyes for just a moment. Unless, he added, almost to himself, you'd be willing to listen. He made a bargain at midnight. She could ask one question about his past each day. But for every answer he gave, she would have to share something no one else knew about her. The kitchen island between them gleamed black granite, a neutral territory where they sat facing each other, steam rising from twin mugs of tea. City lights behind them painted shadows across their faces. Two strangers negotiating the terms of truth. Let me understand, Janelle said. I can ask you anything. And you'll answer honestly? One question per day, Damien clarified. And in return, you'll answer one of mine. About my past? His eyes held hers. About whatever I want to know. Something in his tone made her skin warm despite the kitchen's cool temperature. This wasn't in her job description. Sharing personal truths with her employer. But curiosity overrode caution. Deal. She extended her hand, when his fingers wrapped around hers to seal their agreement. The contact lingered a beat longer than necessary. His hand was warm, solid, contradicting the Ice King moniker the press had given him. Ladies first, he said, releasing her hand. Her first question slipped out before she could second guess. Why did you really hire me? Damien studied her face, weighing his response. Because you looked at me without fear. What? Most people look at me with either terror or naked ambition. You. He paused. You looked annoyed, tired, but not afraid. Do you know how rare that is in my world? The honesty in his voice caught her off guard. She reached for the sugar bowl at the same moment he did, their fingers brushing. Neither pulled away immediately. My turn, he said, voice dropping lower. Why do you work 3 jobs when you clearly have the intelligence for something more lucrative? Has someone ever seen through your carefully constructed facade? That moment when a person recognizes your truth before you've spoken it? Share below if you've experienced that unsettling feeling of being truly seen. Janelle stared into her tea. This wasn't small talk. This was excavation. My mother got sick when I was 19. Cancer. I was halfway through community college, but we needed money for treatments insurance wouldn't cover. My 3 younger siblings needed stability. She shrugged. Someone had to step up. No father in the picture? That's a second question. She attempted a smile, but it felt brittle. You'll have to wait until tomorrow. Something softened in his expression. Touché. They finished their tea in silence, but it wasn't uncomfortable. More like a pause between movements in a symphony. Necessary for what would come next. As she stood to leave, Damien spoke again. My nightmares, they're about my mother. She turned, surprised by the unsolicited confession. She died when I was 15. His voice remained controlled, but his knuckles whitened around his mug. The official cause was prescription overdose. Accidental, the report said. You don't believe that? No. His eyes met hers, suddenly intense. I don't. For days, their midnight conversations continued. One question. One answer. Truths exchanged like rare currency. She learned about his childhood in New York's elite circles, feeling always like an outsider. He discovered her dreams of becoming a nurse, interrupted by family responsibility. With each exchange, the space between employer and employee blurred. She began noticing details, how his jaw clenched when discussing his father, how his rare smile transformed his face, how his eyes followed her movements when he thought she wasn't looking. On the 7th night, her question changed everything. Why does no one ever visit you here? Pain flashed across his face before he masked it. Because I cut everyone out after my mother died. It was safer that way. Safer for whom? That's a second question. His echo of her earlier response came with a sad smile. But I'll answer anyway. Safer for them. The Cross family destroys everything it touches. He stood abruptly. Enough for tonight. But as he passed, his hand brushed her shoulder. The briefest touch that left her skin tingling long after he'd gone. She called her mother from his private elevator, whispering about her new salary, but hiding where she lived, never expecting he was listening, or that he'd been secretly paying her mother's medical bills for weeks. Yes, Mama, the pay is good. Janelle leaned against the elevator wall, watching floor numbers descend. No, I can't tell you exactly what I do. Just administrative work. The lie tasted bitter. In reality, she'd spent the morning organizing Damien's medication, prescribed for insomnia he never mentioned, and afternoon redirecting calls from board members he refused to speak with. How's your treatment going? She asked, changing the subject. Her mother's voice brightened. Much better. The hospital says an anonymous donor has been covering everything. Even the experimental treatment Dr. Harrison recommended. Janelle froze. Anonymous donor? Since when? About 3 weeks ago. Right around when you took this new job. Her mother's voice dropped to a whisper. I think it's God answering our prayers. The elevator doors opened to the lobby, but Janelle couldn't move. 3 weeks ago, when Damien had first seen her asleep in his penthouse, coincidence seemed unlikely. That evening, she found him in his office, reviewing contracts. Without preamble, she placed her phone on his desk, the hospital billing portal displayed on screen. "Are you behind this?" Damien didn't look surprised. "Does it matter who's paying, as long as your mother gets treatment? It matters if my boss is invading my privacy." Her voice rose despite her best efforts. "You had no right to look into my family's medical issues." "I didn't." His voice remained calm. "The background check I run on all employees flagged financial difficulties. I simply followed the trail and decided to play savior without asking me." Something flashed in his eyes. Not anger, but something deeper. He turned his tablet around, showing a security feed. Her voice echoed in the penthouse office as she promised her siblings new shoes, better food, her mother's medicine. Shame and outrage battled within her. "You've been monitoring my calls?" "Standard security protocol. There's nothing standard about this." She leaned forward, palms flat on his desk. "I don't need charity, Mr. Cross. Neither did my mother." Have you ever discovered someone was helping you behind the scenes? That moment when you realized someone saw your struggle when you thought no one was watching? Was your first reaction gratitude or anger? Share your thoughts below. His words stopped her cold. "My mother cleaned houses too," he said quietly. She worked herself to exhaustion for a husband who controlled every aspect of her life. When she got sick, he called it inconvenient timing with his business expansion. Damien stood, moving to the window overlooking Boston's skyline. "She died owing medical debt I was too young to pay. By the time I had the resources to help her, it was too late." The raw pain in his voice diffused her anger. She'd misjudged his motives. "I'm not offering charity," he continued, still facing the window. "Consider it karma correction, breaking a pattern." Janelle stepped closer. "You could have told me. Would you have accepted?" The question hung between them. They both knew the answer. "Thank you," she finally said. "For my mother." He turned, their proximity suddenly apparent. She could see the flecks of darker blue in his eyes, the slight shadow of evening stubble along his jaw. Without thinking, she reached up to touch his face, a gesture of comfort. His hand caught hers midair, holding it between them. For a heartbeat, she thought he might pull her closer. Instead, his phone rang, shattering the moment. He checked the display and tensed. "I need to take this." His voice had returned to its professional coolness, but his fingers lingered on her wrist before releasing her. After she left, Janelle could still feel the ghost of his touch on her skin. Something had shifted between them, boundaries blurring in ways that both thrilled and terrified her. Before she could process it, she heard his voice raise in the office, something that never happened. A pause. "I'll be there tomorrow." Then, words that sent a chill through her. "No, Father's condition doesn't change anything. The agreement stands." She wasn't supposed to accompany him to New York, until he admitted that without her beside him, he might not return to Boston alive. "Pack for 3 days," Damien instructed, appearing in her doorway at dawn. "The jet leaves in 2 hours." Janelle looked up from her laptop, where she'd been organizing his schedule. "Jet? What jet?" "My family situation requires immediate attention." His voice remained steady, but new lines had formed around his eyes overnight. "I need my assistant with me." The formality stung after their near moment in his office. "Your executive assistant would be more appropriate for a business trip." "This isn't business." Something darkened in his expression. "It's family." 2 hours later, she boarded a private jet that cost more than her entire lifetime earnings. The interior gleamed with leather and polished wood, yet Damien sat rigid with tension, staring out the window as Manhattan's skyline came into view. "You haven't been back in 5 years, she observed, recalling details from their midnight conversations. 5 years, 2 months, 17 days. His jaw tightened. Not long enough. Then why go now? He turned to face her, mask slipping to reveal raw vulnerability. "My father is dying. Brain hemorrhage. He's asking for me." "And you're granting his wish?" After everything he did, rain began spattering against the windows as the jet descended through clouds. Damien's knuckles whitened around his armrest during turbulence. "I'm not going for him," he said finally. "I'm going to protect what my mother built. The foundation in her name. My father's side of the family will try to dismantle it once he's gone." The plane landed with a jolt, and Damien reached for a seatbelt. His fingers trembled slightly. Something she'd never seen before. "There's something else you should know," he added, voice dropping. "I asked you to come because I need someone I can trust. Someone without connections to my family or their business partners. You trust me?" The question slipped out before she could stop it. His eyes met hers, intensity burning through his usual reserve. "More than anyone else right now." When was the last time someone trusted you with their vulnerability? That moment when a strong person shows you their cracks and fears. Drop a heart in the comments if you've been honored with someone's true self beneath their armor. The Cross estate rose from manicured grounds like a fortress of old money and older secrets. Stone lions guarding a driveway longer than her entire street back home. Rain had given way to misty evening, the mansion's windows glowing amber against darkening sky. "Remember," Damien murmured as the car stopped, his hand finding the small of her back. "Everything here is performance. Trust nothing you hear and only half of what you see." His touch lingered as he helped her from the car, fingertips pressing lightly against her coat. The contact sent warmth cascading through her despite the evening chill. The massive front doors opened before they reached them. A silver-haired butler nodded stiffly. "Master Damien, you've been expected." "I doubt that, Edwards." A hint of the old Damien surfaced, cold, distant. His hand dropped from her back as they entered, and she felt its absence like a physical loss. The entrance hall stretched upward 3 stories, dominated by a portrait of a severe-looking man with Damien's jawline, but none of his intensity. Hollow eyes stared down at them. Damien's father in his prime. "Your room has been prepared in the East Wing," the butler informed her. "Miss Reyes, Janelle Reyes. She stays in the guest suite connected to mine," Damien countered, his tone brooking no argument. "My assistant remains within reach at all times." Something knowing flickered in the old man's eyes. "Of course, sir." As they climbed the grand staircase, Janelle whispered, "Connected suite?" "For your protection," Damien replied quietly. "These walls have ears, and my family has always found ways to turn people." Before she could respond, a voice called from above. "Well, the prodigal returns at last." A woman descended toward them, elegance personified in a black evening dress. Her resemblance to Damien was striking. Same blue eyes, same cheekbones. But where his contained warmth beneath ice, hers held only calculation. "Aunt Catherine." Damien's voice chilled further. "I see you've already moved in." Someone had to manage things while Elliot faded. Her gaze shifted to Janelle, assessing her from head to toe. "And who's this? Your latest diversion?" Damien's hand returned to Janelle's back, possessive this time. "This is Ms. Reyes. My right hand." Catherine's perfectly painted lips curved upward. "How interesting. She looks remarkably like someone we used to know, doesn't she?" The portrait hanging above the main staircase showed a woman with Damien's eyes and her exact shade of auburn hair. A coincidence that made his father's smile turn predatory. "My dear, you must sit beside me at dinner." Damien's father, Elliot Cross, gestured to the chair his right hand, ignoring his son completely. Though hospital pale and visibly weakened, power still emanated from the old man like heat from burning coals. Janelle glanced at Damien, whose expression had hardened to granite. The massive dining room gleamed with old wealth. Silver candelabras, crystal glasses, and a table long enough to seat 20, though only 5 places were set. "Ms. Reyes sits with me," Damien countered, pulling out the chair furthest from his father. "Nonsense." Elliot waved a frail hand. "I wish to know the woman who's captured my son's attention after so many years of self-imposed isolation." Aunt Catherine's eyes glittered with amusement. "Yes, do join Elliot. He so rarely has young company these days." Trapped between warring factions, Janelle hesitantly took the offered seat. The moment she sat, servers appeared with wine and appetizers that probably cost more than her monthly rent. The resemblance is remarkable, Elliot murmured, studying her face with uncomfortable intensity. Wouldn't you agree, Damien? Across the table, Damien's knuckles whitened around his fork. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you? His father smiled thinly. Perhaps your subconscious made the selection. They say we're drawn to the familiar, even when we don't recognize it ourselves. Janelle looked between them, confusion mounting. Resemblance to whom? Catherine answered while delicately sipping her wine. Elizabeth, Damien's mother. Your coloring is uncannily similar. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Damien pushed back from the table, chair legs scraping across marble flooring. If you invited me here to play games, Father, I'll be on the first flight back to Boston. Sit down. Despite his weakened state, Elliot's command held the weight of decades of authority. We have business to discuss after dinner. The foundation, adjustments must be made. No adjustments. Damien remains standing. Mother's foundation stays exactly as she designed it. Even if it's bleeding money, even if certain improprieties have been discovered in the bookkeeping. Have you ever been caught in the crossfire between family members with decades of unresolved tension? That moment when you realize you've stepped into a battlefield with history you can't possibly understand? Comment below if you've ever felt like an unwilling witness to someone else's painful past. Dinner proceeded like psychological warfare, disguised as politeness. Questions aimed like arrows. Responses structured like shields. By dessert, Janelle's head pounded from the effort of navigating conversations where every word carried double meanings. As the men retired to the study, Catherine cornered her in the hallway. He hasn't told you anything, has he? Her perfectly manicured nail tapped against her wine glass. About Elizabeth's death? About why he left New York? That's between Damien and me. Catherine's laugh held no warmth. Oh my dear, there's nothing between you that isn't calculated. Damien doesn't get close to anyone. Not since. Since what happened to his mother. Janelle finished, watching surprise flicker across the older woman's face. So he has told you something. Catherine stepped closer, voice dropping. Did he tell you she was planning to leave? Elliot? That she found out about the offshore accounts? The money laundering? Before Janelle could respond, Damien appeared at the end of the hallway. Janelle. His voice was tight. With me. Now. She excused herself, hurrying to catch up as he strode toward the east wing. Once alone in a corridor lined with family portraits, he stopped abruptly. Whatever my aunt told you. She said your mother found out about illegal activities, that she was planning to leave. His expression darkened, and conveniently died before she could. Damien, she touched his arm gently. Do you think your father? I don't think. I know. His voice dropped to a whisper. I just can't prove it. Moonlight streamed through leaded glass windows, illuminating his face as he unlocked the door with a key from his pocket. This was my mother's private sitting room, untouched since she died. The room appeared frozen in time. Half-finished needlepoint in the basket, reading glasses on a dog-eared Austen novel, and framed photos of a young Damien everywhere, as if she tried to surround herself with a smile. She used to bring me here when father was in one of his moods, Damien said quietly, fingers trailing over a bookshelf. It was our sanctuary. Janelle studied a photo of Elizabeth Cross. The resemblance Catherine had mentioned now obvious. Same auburn hair, similar build. Even their smiles shared a certain quality. Is that why you hired me? Because I remind you of her? Pain flashed across his face. No, God, no. He moved closer, hands gripping her shoulders. Don't ever think that. His touch sent electricity through her body. They stood so close she could smell his cologne, feel the warmth radiating from him. Then why me? She whispered. Because you're nothing like anyone in my world. His voice roughened. You're real, honest, the opposite of everything I grew up with. His lips found hers with hesitant hunger, hands trembling as they framed her face, not the confident touch of a billionaire, but a drowning man finding shore. I shouldn't, he whispered against her mouth, but his body betrayed him, pressing closer until the bookshelf creaked behind her. The kiss deepened, years of isolation melting away as his hands tangled in her hair. Janelle responded with equal fervor, fingers gripping his shirt, drawing him closer. A floorboard creaked in the hallway, forcing them apart. In the doorway stood Damien's father, holding an envelope of photographs. "I wondered how long it would take you to bring her here," he said. "Shall I tell her what really happened to your mother? Or will you?" 15 years ago, Damien's mother didn't die from illness. She took her own life after discovering her husband's darkest secret, the same secret now threatening to destroy everything between Janelle and the man she was falling for. These photos were taken the week before Elizabeth died. Elliot Cross spread black and white surveillance images across the antique desk. She was meeting with federal prosecutors. Rain lashed against the library windows as lightning illuminated generations of bound books and bound secrets. Damien stood rigid by the fireplace, eyes never leaving his father. "You had her followed. Not a question, an accusation. I protected our family interests." Elliot's voice remained, even despite the oxygen tube beneath his nose. "As I always have." Janelle studied the photos. Elizabeth Cross outside a federal building, passing documents to a man in a suit. Evidence, she realized. Evidence of crimes. She found the ledgers, Damien said, turning to Janelle. 3 generations of cross-family wealth built on arms dealing, money laundering, and bribery. My great-grandfather started it during Prohibition. My grandfather expanded during World War II. My father perfected it. And you walked away from it, she finished, pieces falling into place. Not quite. Elliot's smile held no warmth. "Tell her the rest, son. Tell her what happened after these photos were taken." Thunder cracked outside, matching the tension in the room. Damien's fists clenched at his sides. "Mother called to warn me she was going to the authorities, that everything would change." His voice tightened. The next morning, they found her in her car. Carbon monoxide poisoning. A suicide note in handwriting that matched hers perfectly. "Except you never believed it was suicide," Janelle whispered. "The woman in those photos was fighting, not surrendering." Damien's eyes burned with 15 years of bottled rage. "She would never leave me alone with him." Elliot sighed heavily. "Such dramatics. Your mother was unstable. She was going to expose you." Damien's voice rose, control finally cracking. "And you couldn't allow that. Have you ever discovered that someone you trusted had been hiding darkness beneath their respectable facade? That moment when you realize the story you've been told your whole life was built on lies? Share below how you handled learning painful truths about someone close to you." Janelle stepped between them. "Why show us these now? Why bring Damien back after 5 years?" "Because the investigation has been reopened." Elliot's gaze shifted to her. Anonymous tips to the FBI. Banking records suddenly appearing in prosecutors' hands. Someone has been feeding them information bit by bit. Understanding dawned on her face as she turned to Damien. "You." He didn't deny it. "I've spent 5 years gathering evidence, building relationships with federal agents, and cleaning the legitimate parts of our business." "Betraying your family," Elliot corrected. "Your legacy." "My legacy?" Damien laughed bitterly. "Blood money isn't a legacy I want." Elliot's expression hardened as he pressed a button beneath the desk. Within seconds, the library door opened and 2 security men entered. "Ms. Reyes, I believe it's time for you to retire to your room." His tone left no room for argument. "My son and I have private matters to discuss." "She stays," Damien countered, moving to her side. "Actually," Janelle surprised both men by speaking, "I could use some rest. It's been a long day." She caught Damien's confused look and squeezed his hand reassuringly. He needed time alone with his father, and she needed to process everything she'd learned. The security men escorted her upstairs, but instead of leading her to the guest wing, they directed her to a bedroom in the opposite corridor. "There must be a mistake," she objected. "My room connects to Mr. Cross's suite." "Mr. Cross Sr.'s orders," one replied flatly. "For your comfort." The door closed behind her with an ominous click. When she tried the handle, her suspicions were confirmed, locked from the outside. The bedroom was luxurious but felt like a prison. No phone, no connection to Damien. Through the window, she watched lightning split the sky over the Cross Estate grounds, illuminating manicured lawns and guard posts at the perimeter. She was trapped in a gilded cage with a family whose fortune was built on crime, whose patriarch potentially murdered his wife, and whose son was secretly working with federal authorities. And somewhere downstairs, Damien was alone with the man he believed killed his mother. Hours passed with no word. Janelle paced the room, trying the door periodically. Around midnight, she heard raised voices in the corridor, followed by the unmistakable sound of something heavy hitting a wall. Then silence. When dawn broke, soft knocking woke her from restless sleep. She opened the door to find Damien, a bruise darkening his cheekbone, determination burning in his eyes. "Pack quickly," he whispered. "We're leaving." "What happened?" "My father suffered another episode. The doctors are with him now." His jaw tightened. "It's created a distraction we need." As she gathered her things, Damien pulled out his phone, sending a text before removing the battery. "Who was that for?" "Someone who can help us." He checked the hallway. "My father showed his hand last night. He doesn't just want me back. He wants me to take over his position, continue the family business. And if you refuse?" His eyes met hers, dead serious. "Then we both become liabilities. My father doesn't leave loose ends." They moved silently through the sleeping household, avoiding security cameras Damien had memorized as a child. At the garage, he selected an inconspicuous sedan rather than one of the luxury vehicles. "Where are we going?" she asked as they passed through the estate gates, sunrise painting the sky behind them. "Somewhere they won't look for us." His hand found hers across the console. "I'm sorry I dragged you into this." "You didn't drag me." She linked her fingers with his. "I walked in willingly." The door slammed open as federal agents flooded the mansion, badges raised. "Damien Cross?" the lead agent called. "We need to speak with you about the offshore accounts." His eyes found hers across the chaos with one clear message: run. She fled the mansion with nothing but her phone and the crushing weight of his last whispered words. "If I don't contact you in 3 days, burn the flash drive in my nightstand and forget you ever knew me." The taxi dropped Janelle at Penn Station, where she boarded the first train to Boston. Rain pelted the windows as countryside blurred past, matching the storm in her mind. Damien's final instructions played on repeat in her thoughts. "My bedroom safe. Code 1703. Inside is a flash drive with everything I've gathered on my father's operations. If I don't contact you within 3 days, deliver it to Agent Moran at the FBI field office in Boston." When she'd asked why he couldn't leave with her, his answer was simple: "Because if we both disappear, they'll know exactly what we're doing." The penthouse felt cavernous without him, her footsteps echoing across marble floors as she searched his private office. Each locked drawer seemed like another barrier between the man she thought she knew and the truth he'd kept buried. His mother's death date. The safe swung open to reveal documents, passport, and the promised flash drive, small enough to hide in her palm, but potentially devastating enough to bring down an empire. Her phone remained silent. No texts, no calls. News alerts about Cross-Air questioned by federal authorities filled her screen, but nothing about his whereabouts or well-being. By the second night, worry gnawed at her concentration. She found herself wandering into his bedroom, fingers trailing over his possessions. His cologne lingered in the air. Without thinking, she opened his closet, pressing her face against one of his shirts, inhaling his scent. The memory of their kiss in his mother's sitting room returned with physical force. The desperation in his touch, the way his hands had trembled against her skin. Not calculation or manipulation as his aunt had suggested, but genuine need. Now he faced his demons alone while she waited in safety. Have you ever been separated from someone when danger threatened them, but not you? That helpless feeling of safety while someone you care about remains at risk? Tell me in the comments how you handled being the one left behind when you wanted to stand and fight. The third day dawned with still no word. Janelle withdrew the flash drive from its hiding place, turning it over in her fingers. Following his instructions meant potentially sending Damien to prison alongside his father. The evidence wouldn't discriminate between family members. Could she do it? Could she betray him to save him? As darkness fell, she made her decision. She purchased lighter fluid from a convenience store and returned to the penthouse, resolve hardening with each step. The balcony overlooked Boston's glittering skyline, a fitting place to destroy evidence against one of the city's most powerful families. Janelle placed the flash drive in a metal dish, lighter fluid ready beside it. Her phone chimed. Unknown number. Trust no one. Cool me. An address in South Boston followed, a motel well below cross standards. Hope surged through her veins as she grabbed her coat and keys. The motel parking lot was nearly empty, rain forming puddles beneath flickering neon. Room 117 stood at the far end, doors slightly ajar, light spilling onto wet concrete. She approached cautiously, pushing the door open with her fingertips. Damien, but it wasn't Damien waiting. Elliot Cross sat in a threadbare armchair, looking incongruous in his tailored suit against the motel's faded decor. Ms. Reyes. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Please come in. Two security men flanked the room's corners. No escape route. How did you get this number? Cold fear washed through her. My son isn't the only one with resources. Elliot gestured to the chair opposite his. We have matters to discuss. The motel room reeked of desperation and discount air freshener. On the scratch table between them sat an envelope thick enough to contain significant cash. Where's Damien? Being reasonable, finally. Elliot's gaze never left her face. The federal investigation has been managed. Family lawyers are quite effective when properly motivated. You mean you bribed someone? His smile tightened. I mean, the Cross legacy continues as it always has. Adaptable, resourceful. He pushed the envelope toward her. $5 million. Cash. Untraceable. Enough to secure your mother's complete treatment, your siblings' education, and your own future. Janelle stared at the envelope, mind racing. In exchange for what? The flash drive, of course. His voice hardened. And your permanent departure from my son's life. $5 million. Enough to save her mother, secure her siblings' futures, and never work again. All she had to do was betray the man who'd awakened her heart. I don't have it with me. Of course not. You're smarter than that. Elliot leaned forward. But you know where it is. And you know Damien will never choose you over the company. You don't know your son at all. I know that he's a Cross. Elliot's confidence was absolute. And Crosses always choose power in the end. The flash drive is his ticket back to the throne, not his ticket to freedom with you. The doubt planted, she stood abruptly. I need to think. You have until tomorrow. After that, my offer expires, along with my protection. His meaning was clear. Without his approval, she'd become a liability. As she walked out, leaving the money untouched, his final words followed her into the rain. He'll never choose you over the company, you know. Ask yourself why he sent you away alone while he stayed behind to negotiate. The doubt planted, she clutched her phone tighter, wondering if helping Damien meant losing him forever. His father offered her $5 million to walk away and destroy the drive. Enough to save her mother, secure her siblings' futures, and never work again. All she had to do was betray the man who'd awakened her heart. Rain pounded the sidewalk as Janelle hailed a taxi, mind racing. Elliot's words echoed like poison in her thoughts. Was Damien negotiating his return to the family business? Had he sent her away not for her protection, but to secure his position? Back at the penthouse, she paced the living room, the flash drive heavy in her pocket. Everything she knew about Damien contradicted his father's claims. The midnight conversations, the vulnerability in his eyes when speaking of his mother, the way he kissed her, desperate, genuine. But doubt, once planted, grew like a weed. Her phone rang, unknown number again. Hello, she answered cautiously. It's me. Damien's voice came through, tense and hushed. Are you alone? Relief washed through her. Yes. Where are you? Your father found me, I know. I am sorry. Traffic sounds filled the background. I can't say where I am. The less you know, the safer you are. Safe from what? He offered me money to give him the flash drive. A harsh laugh. Of course he did. Did you take it? The question stung. How can you ask me that? Silence stretched between them. "I'm sorry," he finally said. "I don't know who to trust anymore. Trust me." Her voice strengthened with certainty. "I didn't take his money. I would never betray you. Can you meet me?" The question came quickly. Not at the penthouse. Somewhere public but quiet. She suggested a small coffee shop in Cambridge. Neutral territory far from cross-influence. 2 hours, he agreed. "Come alone. And Janelle? Bring the drive." The call ended, leaving her staring at the phone. Something felt wrong. His tone, his questions. The Damien she knew wouldn't have doubted her loyalty. Acting on instinct, she called the number back. Disconnected. What would you do if someone you trusted suddenly seemed different? If something in your gut warned you that things weren't right? Tell me in the comments if you've ever had to choose between logic and intuition in a critical moment. Cambridge in November meant early darkness and biting cold. The coffee shop glowed warm against twilight, half empty on a weeknight. Janelle chose a corner table with clear sight lines to both exits, the flash drive secure in an inner pocket. When the door opened 20 minutes later, her heart stopped. Not Damien, but his brother Marcus entered, scanning the room before spotting her. His expression showed none of his usual charm as he approached. "He sent you?" she asked as he sat down. "No one sent me." Marcus's voice was low, urgent. "I tracked you through the penthouse security system. You're in danger." "From who?" "Your father." "From everyone." He leaned closer. Damien was arrested by federal agents this morning. He's in custody at the Boston field office. The blood drained from her face. "Then who called me?" "That's why I'm here." Marcus glanced around nervously. "Father's men have your phone cloned. They're setting a trap. Why would you help me? You're part of the family business." Something pained crossed his expression. Because Damien was right about our mother. About everything. He withdrew an envelope from his jacket. "This is access to an offshore account. Enough to disappear if you need to." Her eyes narrowed. "Another cross man offering me money? Not for the drive. For your safety." He pushed the envelope across the table. "Damien loves you. It's the only reason Father hasn't had you eliminated already." The coffee shop door opened again. 2 men in dark suits entered, scanning the room with practiced efficiency. "They're here." Marcus stood casually, blocking their view. "Leave through the kitchen. There's a service exit. I'll distract them." "Why should I trust you?" His smile turned sad. "Because I love my mother too." As she walked out, leaving the envelope untouched, his parting words followed her into the night. "He's sacrificing everything to protect you. The question is, what are you willing to sacrifice for him?" With renewed determination, Janelle headed not toward the penthouse, but toward the Boston FBI field office, the flash drive secure against her heart. If Damien had chosen justice over power, she would stand beside him, whatever the cost. She found him hiding in a cabin by the lake, wounded from his escape. And as she cleaned the blood from his shoulder, he finally told her the truth. He wasn't fighting to save the company. He was gathering evidence to destroy it completely. "Stay still," Janelle ordered, pressing a clean washcloth against the gash on Damien's shoulder. The cabin's first aid kit had been woefully inadequate, forcing her to improvise with what she could find. Finding him had been an odyssey of trust and instinct. The FBI field office had confirmed his arrest and subsequent release on bail, but he hadn't gone back to the penthouse. Agent Moran had slipped her an address scribbled on a coffee receipt after she'd mentioned Elizabeth Cross's name. "How bad is it?" Damien asked through gritted teeth. "Not deep enough for stitches, but it'll leave a scar." She applied antiseptic, wincing at his sharp intake of breath. "Want to tell me how the heir to one of America's largest fortunes ended up hiding in a fishing cabin with a shoulder that looks like it met the wrong end of fence? Would you believe rock climbing accident? His attempt at humor fell flat. I'd believe your father's security team caught up with you." His eyes met hers, the mask finally dropping completely. "They did. I got away. Barely." The cabin windows reflected their silhouettes against the darkness of the pines. 2 people hunched close by firelight. Outside, wind whispered through trees surrounding the isolated property, miles from the nearest neighbor. "Marcus said you were arrested." "I was." then released when certain evidence mysteriously disappeared from the federal prosecutor's office. Bitterness edged his voice. My father's reach is longer than I anticipated. Janelle secured a bandage over his wound, her fingers lingering on his skin. He offered me $5 million for the flash drive. And yet you're here, tending my wounds instead of shopping for a beach house. A hint of his old smile returned. What? The question hung between them, heavy with meaning. Why had she chosen him over security, over her family's needs? Because I needed to know the truth. She sat back, meeting his gaze. All of it. No more half answers or midnight question games. Has someone ever trusted you with their complete truth, their darkest fears, their deepest motivations? That moment when all pretenses fall away and you see someone's raw, unfiltered self? Share below how that kind of vulnerability changed your relationship. Damien stood, moving to the small fireplace. Flames painted his profile in golden shadow as he began speaking, really speaking, for the first time since she'd met him. I was 15 when she died, old enough to understand what my father was, young enough to be powerless against him. His voice remained steady, but his hands trembled slightly. I spent the next decade playing the perfect heir, gaining his trust, access to his records, his contacts. You've been planning this for 15 years. Planning to expose him? Yes. He turned to face her. What you don't understand is that the cross fortune isn't just built on tax evasion or clever accounting. It's built on weapons sold to terrorists, on buying politicians, on eliminating problems permanently. The implication hung heavy between them. His own mother had been one such problem. I'm not fighting to save the company, he continued. I'm gathering evidence to destroy it completely. Even though it means destroying yourself too, your inheritance, especially that. His gaze intensified. I don't want blood money. The first touch was tentative. Her fingertips tracing the bruise blooming across his ribs, his sharp intake of breath not from pain. Janelle, he whispered, warning and plea combined. She answered by pressing her lips to the discolored skin, then higher, mapping a path to his mouth that left them both trembling. His hands cupped her face with reverence, kiss deepening from gentle to desperate in heartbeats. They moved together toward the cabin's small bedroom, layers discarded, secrets and barriers falling away like unwanted clothing until nothing remained but truth between them. Dawn broke as they lay entwined, his fingers stroking her hair when headlights swept across the cabin walls. They found us, he said, reaching for his phone. There's only one person who could have told them where I was, and you're the only one who knew. With guns pointed at the cabin and accusations hanging between them, she had seconds to make him believe she hadn't betrayed him, and only one way to prove it. I didn't tell anyone, Janelle insisted, pulling on clothes as Damien moved to the window. His back had stiffened, distrust evident in every line of his body. Damien, look at me. He turned, eyes cold in a way she hadn't seen since her first days at the penthouse. Only 3 people knew about this cabin. Me, Agent Moran, and now you. Agent Moran, understanding dawned. He gave me the address on a coffee receipt. If we were followed, then the FBI has been compromised. Damien peered through the curtains again. 2 SUVs. Professional stance. Not federal agents, private security. Blue and red lights splashed across snow-laden pines, transforming the peaceful clearing into a tactical zone as more vehicles surrounded the cabin, their shadows stretching long across virgin snow like reaching fingers. 5 minutes before they move in, he calculated, already grabbing the backpack containing his evidence. There's no back exit. What about a distraction? Janelle scanned the cabin's sparse interior. Something to draw their attention while we slip out and go where? We're surrounded by woods in November, with 8 inches of snow and dropping temperatures. Her eyes fell on the worn rug in the center of the floor. What's under there? Damien followed her gaze. Storm cellar. Leads to a tunnel that comes out near the lake. The original owner was a prohibition smuggler. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. You're brilliant. I'm observant. There's a draft. She helped him move the heavy table covering the trapdoor. But Damien, before we go, the flash drive, I need to know you trust me. His hesitation cut deeper than any accusation could have. If I wanted to betray you, I would have taken your father's money. She stepped closer, voice low and intense. I would be on a plane right now instead of facing armed men. I chose you. I'm still choosing you. Something shifted in his expression, doubt giving way to determination. He gripped her shoulders, searching her eyes. I trust you, with everything. When was the last time someone's trust in you was tested? That moment when everything hangs on whether someone believes in your loyalty? Comment below if you've ever had to prove yourself when suspicion threatened to destroy something important. The trapdoor revealed a narrow ladder descending into darkness. Damien went first, using his phone's flashlight to illuminate dirt walls braced with ancient timber. Watch your step, he warned, helping her down. This tunnel hasn't been maintained in decades. The passage stretched ahead, barely wide enough for their shoulders, ceiling low enough that Damien had to stoop. Cobwebs clung to their hair and clothing as they moved forward, guided only by the weak beam of light. Your father's men? What will they do when they find us gone? Janelle whispered, uncomfortably aware of the earth pressing in from all sides. They're under orders to bring me back alive. His voice held grim certainty. They'll eliminate as a complication. Comforting, his hand found hers in the darkness, squeezing gently. I won't let that happen. The tunnel seemed endless, the air growing colder and damper as they approached the lake. Twice they had to crawl through partially collapsed sections, Damien insisting on going first to check stability. Almost there, he eventually said, pointing to a faint line of lighter darkness ahead. That's the exit. The tunnel's end was concealed by overgrown bushes, the opening covered with a rusted metal door that protested loudly when pushed. They emerged onto the lakeshore, half a mile from the cabin, but with clear view of the flashing lights still surrounding it. They'll figure it out soon, Damien said, already moving toward the tree line. We need transportation. The nearest town is 10 miles. Janelle pulled her inadequate jacket tighter against the biting cold. There's a neighbor 2 miles north, retired fisherman, keeps to himself. Damien guided her through the woods, one arm protectively around her shoulders. He might help us. They moved as quickly as possible through the darkness, every snapping twig making them freeze, every distant engine sound causing them to duck lower. Damien's shoulder wound had reopened, blood darkening his shirt despite the makeshift bandage. You're hurt worse than you're letting on, Janelle observed as he stumbled slightly. I've had worse. But his face had grown pale, jaw tight with pain. After an hour of tense hiking, lights appeared through the trees. A small cabin with smoke curling from the chimney. An old pickup truck sat in the driveway. Wait here, Damien instructed, positioning her behind a large pine. If anything happens, run east until you hit the main road. I'm not leaving you. Janelle, his voice softened as he cupped her cheek. Promise me, if things go wrong, save yourself. Before she could argue, he approached the cabin, hands visible to show he wasn't a threat. The door opened before he reached it. An elderly man with a shotgun emerging onto the porch. Janelle couldn't hear their conversation, but saw the old man lower his weapon, nodding at whatever Damien said. After a brief exchange, he waved toward her hiding place. Minutes later, they were in the back of the pickup, hidden under a tarp, heading toward the highway. The old man had asked no questions beyond trouble, and seemed satisfied with Damien's simple yes. Where to now? She whispered, pressed against him in their cramped hiding place. Newark, he replied, arm tightening around her. Your family home. My family? What? Because it's the last place they'll look for me. His lips brushed her forehead. And because it's time your family met the man who loves their daughter. They escaped through the underground storm cellar, emerging a mile away where her brother waited with a borrowed car. Where to? He asked, eyes wide at Damien's bruised face. Damien squeezed her hand, decision made. Newark. It's time Janelle's family met the man who loves their daughter. In her childhood home, a place where the furniture was worn but the love was rich, The billionaire who owned half of Manhattan knelt before her mother and spoke 7 words that changed everything. "I'm the man who wants to marry her." The small apartment in Newark hadn't changed since Janelle left. Same faded couch with the spring that poked through the left cushion. Same family photos crowding every surface. Same scent of her mother's cinnamon coffee cake welcoming them home. What had changed was Janelle, returning with a man whose watch cost more than 6 months' rent, whose tailored shirt remained immaculate despite their harrowing escape, whose presence filled a modest living room like a lion in a birdcage. Powerful, contained, and completely out of context. "Ma, this is Damien," she said simply, watching her mother's eyes widen in recognition of the name that had been appearing in her medical billing statements. "Mr. Cross." Her mother attempted to stand, but Damien gestured for her to remain seated. "Please call me Damien." He moved forward, kneeling beside her recliner to meet her at eye level, a gesture that brought tears to Janelle's eyes. No power play, no looming over the woman who had raised her. Just respect. Her siblings crowded the doorway. Marco, 19, who had dropped out of community college to work construction. Sophia, 17, college-bound and brilliant. And Luca, 14, all gangly limbs and curious eyes. "You're the boss man," Marco said, neither question nor welcome in his tone. "I was," Damien replied, rising to offer his hand. "Now I'm just the man your sister saved." Her family's apartment embraced them with warmth that made the cavernous silence of his mansion feel like the true poverty. Here, space was tight, but conversation flowed freely. Laughter erupted often. Touches, a hand on a shoulder, a playful nudge, a kiss on a cheek, happened naturally without calculation. Damien watched it all with quiet wonder, like an anthropologist discovering a new culture, the culture of family built on love rather than legacy. After explaining a sanitized version of their situation, business rivals targeting Damien, needing to stay off the grid, Janelle's mother insisted on feeding them. The dining table designed for 4 somehow accommodated 6, elbows touching, plates passed hand to hand. "More rice, Mr. Damien?" her mother asked, already spooning it onto his plate without waiting for an answer. "Thank you, Mrs. Reyes." His smile held genuine gratitude. "I haven't had a home-cooked meal like this since." He stopped, something vulnerable crossing his face. "Since your mother," Janelle finished softly. "Have you ever seen someone you care about through your family's eyes? That moment when worlds collide and you discover new dimensions to a person you thought you knew completely? Share how your perspective changed when someone important to you entered your family circle." Later that night, with her brothers relegated to the couch so Damien could take their room, Janelle slipped down the hallway. She found him sitting on the edge of the twin bed, studying a science fair trophy with Marco's name etched on the base. "You okay?" she asked, closing the door softly behind her. "Your family is remarkable." He set the trophy down carefully. The way they look at each other, the way they simply love, that's what families are supposed to do. Not in my experience. He reached for her hand, drawing her closer. "Thank you for bringing me here, for showing me this." In the narrow twin bed that had been Marco's since childhood, surrounded by sports posters and chemistry textbooks, they found comfort in whispered conversations and gentle touches. Not the desperate passion of the cabin, but something deeper, connection that transcended physical desire. "My father will find us eventually," Damien murmured against her hair. "I know." She pressed closer, memorizing the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. "But tonight we're safe." His lips found hers in the darkness, a kiss promising protection, partnership, and possibilities neither had dared imagine before. The news alert flashed on every phone simultaneously. Cross-air missing, foul play suspected. Below the headline was her photo labeled "Person of Interest," and a reward for information about their whereabouts that would tempt even the most loyal friend. With her face plastered across every news channel and his father's private security closing in, they had 12 hours to upload the evidence before his family's lawyers could bury 15 years of crimes, including what really happened the night his mother died. $1 million for information, Sophia read from her phone screen, eyes wide. That's what they're offering for your location. Janelle paced the small kitchen, watching Marco pull the window blinds tightly closed. Outside, neighbors gathered on porches, pointing at news vans that had already appeared on their quiet street. They found us faster than I expected, Damien admitted, voice tight with frustration. My father must have connections in Newark PD. Her mother sat at the kitchen table, rosary beads moving steadily through her fingers. What exactly have you gotten mixed up in, Mija? The truth, Mama. Janelle knelt beside her chair. Damien's family has hurt people, a lot of people. He's trying to stop it by making my daughter a fugitive, by loving her enough to protect her. Damien interjected, crossing to them. Mrs. Reyes, I never intended to bring danger to your family, but I promise you, I will do whatever it takes to keep Janelle safe. Her brother's cramped bedroom became command central, laptops glowing blue in the darkness as they worked through the night. Marco, surprisingly skilled with computers, helped them encrypt communications while Sophia kept watch by the window. Even young Luca contributed, suggesting they use his gaming VPN to mask their uploads. The flash drive contains everything, Damien explained, connecting it to Marco's laptop. Financial records dating back 15 years. Offshore accounts, weapons sales to sanctioned countries, political bribes, and proof about your mother? Janelle asked softly. His expression darkened. Security camera footage that mysteriously disappeared from police evidence. The original autopsy report before my father's lawyers had it changed. Phone records showing she never made the calls that supposedly indicated suicidal intent. If we upload this to the right people, Marco interjected, the FBI can't ignore it, even with your father's connections. The question is who to trust. Damien ran a hand through his hair. My father has people everywhere. Not everywhere, Janelle countered, inspiration striking. The journalist who wrote that expose on pharmaceutical price fixing last year, Emma Chen. She can't be bought. You want to give this to the press instead of law enforcement? Both, simultaneously. If it's public, your father can't make it disappear. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where the right thing to do was also the most dangerous? When exposing truth meant exposing yourself to risk. Tell me in the comments about a time when you had to choose between safety and integrity. Hours passed in tense concentration, organizing decades of financial crimes into digital files that would bring down an empire built on blood money and broken lives. Outside, more news vans arrived, reporters staking out the neighborhood based on anonymous tips. We're running out of time, Marco warned around dawn, peering through the blinds. There's an unmarked car at the corner. 2 men watching the house. Damien's jaw tightened. Start the upload now. To everyone on our list. Janelle squeezed his hand as Marco initiated the transfer. 15 years of Damien's secret work, evidence painstakingly gathered while pretending loyalty to his father, now streaming to federal prosecutors, journalists, and international investigators. Upload at 37%, Marco reported, eyes fixed on the progress bar. A sharp knock at the front door made them all freeze. Newark Police Department. Open up. Janelle's mother moved toward the door, but Damien gently caught her arm. Wait, he whispered. Real police announce themselves once, then wait. They're knocking continuously. Not cops, Marco confirmed, checking his phone linked to the security camera he'd installed last Christmas. Private security. Cross-industry logos on their jackets. 68% uploaded, Sophia reported, taking over the laptop monitoring. The knocking turned to pounding. Final warning before we enter the premises. My father's people won't hesitate to destroy evidence or witnesses, Damien warned, face grim. We need more time. Janelle's mother straightened her shoulders, decision made. I'll talk to them. Buy you time. Mama, no. I've faced worse than rich men's thugs. She patted Janelle's cheek. When your father was alive, the loan sharks came every month. I know how to handle intimidation. While her mother engaged the men at the front door, her voice carrying clearly as she demanded badges, threatened lawsuits, and generally created magnificent confusion. Marco reported steady upload progress. 82%. 89%, 94%. Almost there, Damien murmured, tension radiating from him. Headlights swept across the windows as more vehicles arrived. From the front of the house came the sound of her mother's voice, rising in righteous indignation, joined now by neighbors drawn by the commotion. "The entire street is out there," Sophia reported, peeking through the blinds. "Mrs. Gonzalez from next door is filming everything on her phone. They can't make a move without it going viral." 98% uploaded, Marco announced triumphantly. The power cut out, plunging the apartment into darkness. "No," Janelle gasped as the laptop screen went black. "It's okay," Marco assured them, the emergency battery keeping his system running. "Upload complete. It's out there now, all of it." A moment of stunned silence fell over the room as the weight of what they had accomplished sank in. 15 years of crimes exposed. Justice for Elizabeth Cross finally within reach. "They're here," her youngest brother whispered from the window. Outside, car doors slammed as men in suits approached from all directions, no longer bothering with the pretense of being police. Damien gripped her hand in the darkness and pressed a small object into her palm, a key. "If anything happens to me," he whispered, "this opens a safety deposit box with enough evidence to finish this without me." "Nothing's happening to you," she insisted fiercely. "We did it. It's over." His smile held sadness and determination in equal measure. "No, Janelle. Now the real fight begins." In the marble lobby of the Cross Industries Tower, surrounded by security and cameras, she walked in alone. Not as his assistant or lover, but as the woman holding enough evidence to topple a dynasty unless one demand was met: Damien's complete exoneration. 3 days after the upload shook the financial world, Janelle stood before the gleaming reception desk of Cross Industries. Stock prices had plummeted 70% overnight. Federal agents had raided offices in 6 countries. The name Cross dominated every news cycle, alongside words like investigation, indictment, and conspiracy. Yet Elliot Cross remained untouchable, sequestered in his executive suite while lawyers and fall guys scrambled to contain the damage. "I'm here to see Mr. Cross," she stated calmly, ignoring the security guards eyeing her with open hostility. "Do you have an appointment?" The receptionist's professional smile didn't reach her eyes. "Tell him Janelle Reyes is here. He'll see me." Minutes later, she was escorted to the executive floor, not in handcuffs as she'd half expected, but with the wary respect afforded to unexploded ordnance. The executive floor gleamed with old money and older arrogance. Oil paintings of Cross patriarchs, watching with painted disdain as she strode past assistants and security. Elliot Cross waited in his corner office, Manhattan spread out before him like a kingdom. Despite the chaos engulfing his company, he appeared perfectly composed, silver hair immaculate, suit unwrinkled, hands steady as he gestured to the chair across from his desk. "Ms. Reyes." How unexpected. His tone suggested nothing surprised him. "I assume my son sent you as his ambassador." "I'm nobody's ambassador." She remained standing. "I'm here to negotiate terms." A flicker of amusement crossed his face. "Terms? You overestimate your position. My lawyers will have most of these unfortunate allegations dismissed within weeks." "The murder allegations, too?" "Because those documents aren't just financial records." She held his gaze steadily. "The evidence about Elizabeth's death is already with the district attorney." Something dangerous flashed in his eyes, the first crack in his facade. "Careful, Ms. Reyes. Slander carries significant legal penalties. So does murder." She placed a manila folder on his desk. "This is a copy of the original autopsy report, the one that disappeared from police records. The one showing your wife was already unconscious when carbon monoxide filled her car." His expression didn't change, but his knuckles whitened against the desk. "What do you want?" "Damien's complete exoneration. Written immunity from federal prosecution. Public acknowledgement that he worked as an informant to expose crimes he took no part in. Have you ever stood your ground against someone who held all the power?" That moment when you have nothing but truth on your side against someone with resources to crush you. Share your story of facing intimidation without backing down. Elliot leaned back, studying her with new calculation. You've disrupted operations worth billions for love. He made the word sound like a disease. How disappointingly ordinary. Not love. Justice. She finally took the seat opposite him. Your son spent 15 years gathering evidence. Not for revenge, but because it was right. My son, Elliot said coldly, is a naive idealist who fails to understand the world requires men like me to function. Who build your roads, fund your hospitals, creates the jobs your precious community depends on. Men who don't murder their wives when they discover the truth. Janelle suggested with deliberate calm. A heavy silence filled the office. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, clouds gathered over the city, promising rain. You have no idea what Elizabeth was going to do, he finally said, voice barely above a whisper. She would have destroyed everything. Generations of work, undone by sentimentality. She was going to expose criminal activity. She was going to tear apart our son's birthright. For the first time, genuine emotion colored his words. Everything I built was for Damien. Everything, including his mother's death. The question hung between them, sharp as a blade. Elliot opened a drawer, withdrawing papers already prepared by lawyers. Complete immunity for Damien Cross, signed by federal prosecutors this morning. He slid them across the desk. I've always protected my son, Ms. Reyes, even from himself. She examined the documents carefully, legitimate federal immunity agreements with Damien's name prominently featured. In exchange, Elliot continued, certain sensitive materials regarding Elizabeth's death will remain private. Family matters, best kept within the family. The implication was clear, Damien's freedom for his father's escape from justice for Elizabeth's murder. He won't agree to this, Janelle said. He doesn't need to. The agreement is already in effect. Elliot's smile returned, confident once more. My son will inherit a somewhat diminished, but still substantial company once this unpleasantness concludes. He'll understand eventually that business requires compromise. The signed immunity agreement in her hand, she walked out past stunned executives, stomach churning with conflicting emotions. Victory for Damien's freedom, defeat for the justice he truly sought. The elevator descended to the lobby, doors opening to reveal a scene of controlled chaos. Federal agents moved through the building, collecting documents and computers while employees watched in shock. Outside on the sidewalk, more agents waited beside government vehicles. And there, surrounded by officers, stood Damien, in handcuffs. What are you doing? She demanded, rushing toward the agent in charge. He has immunity. I have the papers right here. Not for this charge, ma'am. The agent's expression remained professional but sympathetic. Mr. Cross has confessed to unauthorized computer access related to Newark General Hospital patient records. Confusion gave way to horrifying understanding as Damien caught her eye across the crowd. I'm sorry, he called as they pushed him toward a waiting car. There was one crime I couldn't let you hide from me. Her heart stopped as she realized what he meant. He'd confessed to hacking medical records to locate her mother's file, the action that had led to paying her medical bills. The one crime that had nothing to do with his father's business and everything to do with her family. He'd taken the fall to protect her brother's inadvertent role in the evidence gathering. 6 months after he took the fall to protect her brother's inadvertent role in the evidence gathering, she stood outside the federal prison with documents that would free him. And the certainty that the man who entered as Boston's coldest billionaire would leave as simply the man she loved. Winter had given way to spring. Crocuses pushing through once frozen ground as Janelle waited beyond the prison gates. The paperwork that secured his freedom clutched in hands that no longer trembled with uncertainty. The past months had transformed everything. Elliot Cross had fled the country ahead of murder charges, his empire crumbling under federal investigation. The Family Foundation had been restructured under Janelle's direction, its mission refocused on medical access for underserved communities, starting with Newark. Marco had received immunity for his role in accessing hospital records, testifying instead against cross-industries executives who had buried evidence of harmful pharmaceutical trials. Sophia had earned a full scholarship to Columbia, and their mother's cancer had responded to treatment, now in remission. Through it all, Janelle had visited Damien weekly, watching the final ice around his heart melt away as he accepted that he'd accomplished what his mother had died attempting, exposing the truth, whatever the personal cost. The prison gates opened, and he emerged squinting against bright April sunshine. Gone was the tailored suit, the careful reserve, the calculated movements of a man always on guard. In their place stood Damien in jeans and a simple button-down, eyes searching the small crowd until they found her. His smile, unreserved, genuine, transformed his face as he crossed the distance between them in long strides. When his arms wrapped around her, lifting her feet from the ground, the watching guards and recently released inmates broke into spontaneous applause. "It's really over?" he asked against her hair, still holding her close. "Completely. Your name is cleared." She pulled back enough to see his face. "Though your father remains at large. Let the international authorities deal with him." His hand cupped her cheek, thumb tracing her cheekbone. "I'm done living in his shadow. What would you rebuild if given a second chance? If everything you knew collapsed and you could start fresh? Tell me in the comments what new beginning you'd choose if the past no longer defined your future." Their first night in the penthouse, now transformed with touches of her family home. They rediscovered each other slowly, his hands mapping her body like territory he'd feared lost forever. "Never again," he promised between kisses that burned away the months of separation. "No more walls between us." Afterward, wrapped in sheets warmed by shared body heat, she traced the scar on his shoulder. The wound from their cabin escape, now a silver line against his skin. "What happens now?" she asked, head resting on his chest. "With the company? I've signed over my controlling interest to a blind trust." His fingers combed gently through her hair. "The legitimate businesses will continue under independent management. The rest will be sold, with proceeds going to victims. And you? What will Damien Cross do now that he's not hunting his father or running an empire?" His laugh rumbled beneath her ear. "Something I should have done years ago. The Elizabeth Cross Foundation needs a full-time director to manage its expansion. Someone with business experience and a personal connection to its mission. You're going to run a nonprofit? We're going to run a nonprofit." He tilted her chin up to meet his eyes. "Together, if you want." Her answer was a kiss that conveyed everything words couldn't express. Trust rebuilt, promises kept, future embraced without fear. Morning found them on the penthouse balcony, watching sunrise paint Boston in gold and promise. His arms wrapped around her from behind, chin resting on her shoulder as they shared coffee and comfortable silence. "I found something while reorganizing the East Wing," he said eventually. "I want to show you." In what had once been the forbidden section of the penthouse, locked rooms had given way to airy spaces filled with light. At the center of what would become a home office stood a simple wooden box. "My mother's," he explained, opening it carefully. Inside nestled a delicate ring, not ostentatious like Elliot's gifts, but elegant in its simplicity. A single sapphire surrounded by tiny diamonds. She left instructions that it should go to the woman brave enough to love my son completely. His voice roughened with emotion. "I think she'd approve of my choice." As she extended her hand, allowing him to slide the ring onto her finger, Janelle realized the true fortune wasn't his restored name or the foundation they would build together. It was finding someone who saw her exhaustion that first night and offered not just breakfast, but a seat at the table of his carefully guarded heart. The Ice King had thawed completely, and in his place stood simply Damien, a man who had finally come home. So what would you do if someone saw your worth before you believed in it yourself? Would you run? Or would you build something that lasts? Comment below with what you would have done in Janelle's shoes. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that make you feel, think, and maybe even heal a little. Remember, the most powerful love doesn't rescue you from your life. It recognizes the strength that's been there all along.